Well, good morning, friends, and welcome to After GMS. We just went live here on the WFMY News 2 Facebook page. So glad you are joining us and seeing some of our regulars already on. I'm Megan Maleras alongside Sydney Moore in for Tracy McCain and meteorologists Ed Matthews and Christian Morgan.
Absolutely. So happy to be here this morning, and happy Veterans Day to everyone. Yes. Christian, Ed, you know, folks getting out there to go and enjoy some of those ceremonies, and I'm sure they're hoping for some nice weather to do so.
Of course they are. And actually, I think this morning when most of those celebrations will be this morning and early afternoon, for the most part, will be just fine. The clouds will be on the increase. You see that here. We had a really beautiful sunrise across the Triad this morning. A lot of the sky is now covered up in clouds. Hey, real quick, did you see this last night? Not only were we looking for the SpaceX launch, there was also the crescent moon and Jupiter and Venus and Saturn close by, but a total surprise was this meteor that you could see in the sky. A lot of folks saw it. Super bright too, and really cool to see if you were up watching the sky last night. Take a live look over downtown Greensboro. We're starting out in the 40s now, 47 in Greensboro, 46 in Winston-Salem, 51 down in Asheboro, 43 Lexington, still in the upper 30s to the north along the North Carolina-Virginia border. On the radar, nothing more than clouds at the moment. If we zoom things out in a wider view, you'll see our bigger system coming through. And let me take you through in time on Futurecast and show you how we think the rest of the day is going to play out. Again, this morning, early afternoon, going to be just fine for those Veterans Day celebrations. But after about 3 o'clock, I'm not going to totally rule out a stray shower across the area, but we see a little more in the way of scattered rain as we go into supper time and as we work our way into your Thursday night, and especially overnight. Some of that rain could be quite heavy at times. And don't be surprised if you get a rumble or two of thunder either. But this is a quick moving system, quick shot of rain overnight. And honestly, by the time you're getting up and getting ready tomorrow morning, most of our rain is going to be out of the Piedmont, and we'll see clearing skies as we go throughout your Friday afternoon. So the plan today, clouds increase this morning, scattered rain likely as we work our way into your Thursday evening. The extra clouds will help hold our temperatures back a bit too, only into the upper 60s this afternoon. There's kind of a timeline for you today if you're heading out to some of those Veterans Day celebrations. You're fine this morning. Once you get after about 2 o'clock, I would carry the umbrella with you just in case one of those stray showers pops up. And then tonight after dinner, as we work our way toward the midnight hour, is when things start to get a little bit busier. We'll see a little more in the way of rainfall. 7-day forecast, even though the cold front will be by us on your Friday, the cold air is a little bit delayed behind it. So we're still in the upper 60s tomorrow. Heading into the weekend, upper 50s on Saturday, low 50s on Sunday and Monday. And notice where those morning low temperatures are by Sunday morning, close to freezing. So we'll look out for some morning frost as we end the weekend and go into next week.
Yeah, so glad the rain is holding off for these Veterans Day tributes, many of which are back in person this year for the first time in a couple of years, of course, due to the pandemic. Last year, that caused some problems with events. But this morning, we are honoring our heroes on this Veterans Day for their service, their sacrifice, for putting their lives on the line, protecting our country and our freedom. We want you on the feed here to share the name and picture of your favorite veteran and tell us a little bit about his or her service.
Before we share some of those tributes, let's head to Virginia. It's the home of one of the nation's most treasured and sacred sites, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. This year marks 100 years for the memorial. 96-year-old veteran Army Staff Sergeant Darrell Bush laid flowers at the tomb yesterday at Arlington National Cemetery. This year is the first year the public was able to place flowers there.
For some families, this is the only grave that they had to visit back in the 20s, but even still today.
This morning, there's a special ceremony planned where people can pay their respects. All right, let's start our tributes here. Some pictures already being sent in this morning. This is Charles Winnix, who served in the Marines. Anthony Galloway served in Vietnam and Desert Storm and retired after 25 years of service. This viewer sent in a picture of his father, Carl Tatum. Scott Lynch served in the U.S. Air Force, retiring in 1998. Otis Farrington served in the U.S. Army. Beautiful tribute. Some restaurants are offering some free meals and discounts to veterans and active military members today. We posted a list of them on our website, WFMYnews2.com. Keep in mind, some are asking for proof of military service, so make sure you bring your ID, a veterans organization card, or a photograph in uniform.
It's so nice to see so many people post those pictures to just recognize the service that, you know, they had within our country. It's just amazing.
Well, more than 8% of North Carolina's population is veterans.
Yeah.
A large majority of them live in the Triad, which is why you see some of these beautiful tribute sites like the Carolina Field of Honor in Kernersville, like the Veterans Memorial at some of the parks here, like Guilford Courthouse National Military Park, for example. So I've had the pleasure, the honor of interviewing so many veterans in my time here at WFMY News 2. From D-Day veterans to Afghanistan veterans, every story is amazing, but the common theme, no matter the generation, no matter the conflict, is the humility these veterans have. They are so humble. They don't call themselves heroes. They don't want to be identified as such. And oftentimes they remember not their own service, but the service of their friends and comrades they lost.
And
so
to just be able to sit with them and listen to the conversations that they tell and the insight that they provide, it just kind of feels like they're, you know, capturing the moment with you. It's pretty amazing. Something you can definitely feel while they're sitting there talking to you about it, their experiences, for
writing down their stories,
Right?
especially Ed, with these World War II veterans, we're sadly losing more and more every day. So to be able to have the opportunity to sit down with them is wonderful.
Yeah, it's like reading a history book, but you're hearing the voice and learning of their bravery and their experiences in the wars that they served in. I tell you something, I started back when I was a teenager, and I don't even really know why I started it. I believe in a strong military. I believe in peace through strength with our military. And but back when I was a teenager, a long time ago, I chose to, every time I met a veteran or somebody that was currently serving in the military, I always thanked them for their service. I'm 62 years old and I still do that. Case in point, earlier this year when I went to Four Seasons Town Center to get my COVID shot, of course, the military, I believe it was the Air Force, was helping you know, to do that event and get people vaccinated. And I went through the line and everybody I talked to in uniform, I said, thank you very much and God bless you for your service to this great nation. And you know, I think they really, really appreciate that.
I don't think you realize how, you know, how far that goes. You know, my grandpa, unfortunately we lost him last March, was a World War II vet and was in Battle of the Bulge, and just some of the stories, you know, that he would tell, and he wouldn't talk to a lot of people about it, you know, a lot of times because he just didn't feel like people understood the gravity of the situation. And still to this day, you know, I still don't think that several folks do. And it's hard to even fathom what they went through and what they experienced there. But just to listen to some of his stories and some of the things that they experienced while he was in service, I mean, you can't even really imagine that. You know, his feet always bothered him years after, all the way up until he passed away, and that was because his feet got froze, and his toes were frozen during Battle of the Bulge. So, just thinking about that and thinking about those sacrifices of those men and women, it's just really, really humbling.
Incredible story, Christian. We were talking about that earlier. That was one of the coldest winters Europe had ever had, and the U.S. military was not equipped with the right supplies or the right clothes. So the fact that your grandfather served and survived that battle, which was to some degree a turning point in the war, is amazing.
It was. You know, on a lighter note, I'll tell you this. Of course, as you guys know, Ed will appreciate this too, because we're both big on Cheerwine. My grandpa is from Salisbury, so of course he grew up at the home of Cheerwine. And throughout the war, he always would tell me this story. You know, nobody knew what Cheerwine was except for him, because his comrades were from all over, and so their families would send them care packages with Cokes and different snacks of some sort. And he would always get Cheerwine from his mom and dad. And so what he would do, he would trade a Cheerwine for a Coke with a lot of his comrades there in the war, and it would kind of get passed around that way. And so that was kind of his story about how he shared Cheerwine with the world, or, you know, outside of just the little town of Salisbury. So that was always fun.
amazing.
I love that. We're already getting some tributes here pouring in. Scott Lynch, whose picture we shared earlier, is on our feed. So again, Scott, we say thank you. I know you said it was your honor to serve. You said greater love has no one than this, lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command. That's from the Bible. Thank you for sharing that. Bobby has numerous family members who were in the military. He gives thanks to all of them. Karen says, thank you, veterans, for your service. Joanne is remembering her father and her husband, who both served their country willingly.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So amazing.
You know, you think back to the World War II days when these teenagers, these kids, signed up. They didn't wait to be drafted.
Wow.
They signed up for military service because that was what they wanted to do. They wanted to honor their country. They wanted to feel that sense of camaraderie with their fellow Americans and protect our freedoms. And that heroism still is so prevalent today. It's
That's right.
in each generation
That's
of
right.
military members who have followed.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
All right, keep sharing your tributes here on our feed. We will be continuing our discussions and our remembrances throughout the day. Let's take a look at our headlines right now. The Veterans Day celebration at the Carolina Field of Honor is back in person after the pandemic forced last year's gathering to go virtual. WFMY News 2's Denise McMiller is at the Field of Honor in Kernersville with the different ways we can pay our respects.
What preparations are being made right now ahead of today's ceremony, and what better place to celebrate our service members than at the largest memorial on the east coast of the United States outside of Washington, D.C. Nearly 3,000 military members, their families, and supporters will come here to show their respects. Last year's celebration was virtual because of the pandemic. This is video from the last in-person ceremony. This year will be similar with a drum corps, a color guard from the Marine Corps, the singing of the national anthem, and a patriotic song. A plaque will also be dedicated to a Reidsville World War II soldier who was a prisoner of war for the Japanese.
And he survived being a prisoner of war, working in mines and other things with the Japanese, and came back and raised a family here in the Reidsville area. And he's since passed, but his family wants to honor him by putting a bronze plaque up on our honor wall.
A wreath presentation and guest speakers are also on the agenda. The celebration begins at 11 a.m. and will last about 45 minutes. Folks are encouraged to show up at least half an hour early because they are expecting to have one of their larger crowds come out today. For a full list of Veterans Day celebrations, visit our website at WFMYnews2.com.
This morning, you can dig deeper into Greensboro's history, military history, while honoring Veterans Day. Even though it's a holiday, the Greensboro History Museum will stay open to pay tribute to local veterans. You can visit from 10 a.m. until 5. Admission is free.
A triad teenager in custody this morning charged with second-degree murder in the death of his classmate. Yadkin County deputies found Nora Smitherman shot to death last week. It happened last Thursday at a home on Gospel Way Church Road. Today, a celebration of life for Nora Smitherman will be held at Union Grove Baptist Church in Yadkinville. Ahead of North Carolina's budget proposal released Monday, a judge ordered our state to spend more than $1 billion on public education. Judge David Lee is in charge of overseeing how our state responds to what's called the Leandro ruling of 2004. The ruling determined our state fell short in giving children an opportunity to receive a sound basic education. Since that ruling, Judge Lee says the state has failed to act. Now he's ordering state leaders to move money to education and the health department.
Well, did you see what was in the sky last night? Pretty cool. Christian mentioned it earlier. NASA and SpaceX launched 3 Americans and 1 German astronaut into space last night for a half-year stay at the ISS. But that was not what people were buzzing about.
That's right. The only thing in the sky last night, there was a bright meteor that was visible over the triad last night around 9:11 p.m. You can see it really clearly here.
Yeah, here's another view of the meteor in motion. It's also called a fireball. This is video from Sean Drawn, pastor at Sycamore Baptist Church in Stewart, Virginia. Chief Meteorologist Tim Buckley posted it on Twitter. This happened around the same time that the SpaceX rocket launch was visible in our area in a different part of the sky. Twitter user Alan Blake posted this video in Holly Springs. His doorbell camera caught the meteor. Woo, coming closer.
My goodness.
Yeah, and here's another view from Carrie. We want to know, did you spot anything unusual in the sky last night? Wow, that one almost like
I
it
know,
looked like
I
an
was
explosion.
just about to say.
That's pretty cool.
That is amazing.
Okay, so the guys are going to have a field day with
I
this.
know,
So before
I
we
know.
get to them, Sydney,
Let them.
did you see it though?
I did not, and I wish I would have, because
Yeah.
I definitely would have my camera and my phone out just taking pictures, and definitely tagged Ed and Christian in that on social media posts. But that's incredible when you can actually spot something like this and not miss it.
Yeah, Christian, you say this was totally unplanned. I mean, there was
Yeah.
no way to anticipate that this would happen.
No, totally caught by surprise. You know, everybody was looking for either the rocket launch to see that. Also, you could still see the moon and Jupiter and Saturn and Venus all close together. But this was a total surprise, just kind of a one-off fluke, if you will. But it was a big, bright meteor, and they're not typically this bright and this easy to see. And if you notice that picture there from Peter Forster, storm chaser up in Virginia, it had that nice green glow to it, which you don't see a whole lot. And I was actually talking to Dwayne Young after our little segment this morning on the Good Morning Show, and he said that he saw it while he was looking outside, and it lit up the entire sky.
Oh my goodness.
So, I mean, so yeah, there it is. You see that big green line? You go, I mean, it's just amazing.
Right.
Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to step away here for just a second because I got another picture I want to show. And if our control room could bring up could it bring up the Max 2 computer real quick? I do want to showcase this because I always thought that this was really interesting. This is a picture that Christopher Beck sent us from up in Virginia. Now notice a couple things on this screen. Notice on the top left of your screen above that radio tower there, you see that little smudge? That's actually the SpaceX rocket that he caught. And then on the other side of the picture is that meteor. So, I mean, you caught it all in one picture. It's amazing.
Photo. That's amazing.
Wow, some awesome photos. Ed, what do you make of all this?
Well, I tell you what, Ed has learned his lesson. The lesson being, I go to bed way too early. And, I missed the party. I knew this was going on except for the meteor, which was absolutely incredible. And thank goodness for video, because we played it over and over and over again. Truly spectacular.
So it looked like in those videos that the picture was awfully close to the rocket, but it's probably deceptive.
That's
I mean,
that's
they
a
were
good point.
many miles apart, right?
Oh, yeah. Nowhere close.
Nowhere close to scale, as you said
Nowhere
the other
close
day.
to scale.
Yeah, I thought the planets aligning the past few nights was really cool to see, but I missed that show last night, and that's unfortunate. Glad that everybody
I know.
captured it on video.
Ed made a good point. Thank goodness for pictures and video to be able to capture it after the fact, to be able to see it.
Yeah. So Ed, can you speak a little bit to what causes these meteor showers? Are they totally random? Are they spurred by any particular weather event or something happening obviously in the atmosphere?
Well, a meteor shower, when we have a group of meteors, that can be predicted. And we can know, and they usually come out of various constellations in the sky, but every once in a while, and when I was growing up, we called them falling stars. I don't know if you've ever heard that terminology, but you know, being a country boy, that's what we call it. And I always thought, wow, falling stars, stars falling out of the sky. But they can be very random. And case in point, this one last night just came into the Earth's atmosphere, and of course with that friction in the atmosphere, it burned up rather quickly. It must have been a pretty good sized meteor to give off that kind of light show. It was it was pretty incredible.
Wow, that's so cool. So what's next, guys? Asteroid? Oh
Lord.
Hopefully not that.
Get back to us.
Aliens? I don't know. It's anyone's guess at this point. Some crazy things happening.
Well, then we'll have clouds, so whatever happens, we won't be able to see for the next couple nights. We'll have cloud cover, so we'll take a couple nights off.
There you go. There you go.
Take a breather. Okay. All right. Well, why don't we stay on planet Earth for a final look at our forecast?
Okay, yes indeed. If you haven't left home yet, go ahead and grab the umbrella. Now, most of today is dry, and that's great news for all of the ceremonies associated with Veterans Day. This indeed is a very, very important day when we honor our service men and women who have fought for our nation and for our freedoms. All those events we'll be able to get in. Most of them are this morning. The rain, although there could be a sprinkle this afternoon, mainly the rain will move in as we head into the supper time hour around 6, 7, 8 o'clock. And then maybe a few elements of heavy rain overnight. And don't be alarmed if you hear a few rumbles of thunder. That is a possibility. And again, maybe a few pockets of heavier rain. I hope Stokes County gets some heavy rain overnight. Christian and I have been talking about that. It would really help out the situation with the forest fire. So fingers crossed that that area will definitely get some rain. But whatever we do get, maybe a quarter to a half of an inch, will be out early tomorrow morning. Upper 60s today, the sky will clear, the breezes will pick up behind the front. A little lag time between the warm air that we've had and the chillier air that's going to move in behind the front. We're still in the upper 60s tomorrow, but by the weekend you'll really start to feel the chillier air. Upper 50s on Saturday, but by Sunday and Monday we're looking at some low 50s here in the Piedmont, and temperatures dropping back into the low and mid 30s across the Piedmont. So the 70s have gone bye-bye.
At least the rain is holding off
There you
so
go.
we can get in these Veterans Day ceremonies and tributes. Again, thank you so much for joining us on After GMS, and happy Veterans Day to all of our service men and women and their families. And we'll see you back here same time, same place tomorrow.
See ya.